officially called to order?
Yes, you are. You now
Okay,
may tell us.
great. I'm going to share my screen, and Chris Moore is going to start with the introduction, but let me share my screen for a second.
Hello, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
All right, good. So while Rick pulls this up, I want to thank Mr. Chairman and members of the commission for hearing us out tonight. I'm back in front of you guys. I believe it was May or June when I came here for an affiliated project, if I may, of this one, the predecessor project to this one. If you may recall, the culvert that traverses this property. But now tonight we're in front of you for the redevelopment project of the site as a whole. But before we dive into it, just to refresh your memory a little bit on the project that we discussed back in June. Rick, next slide, please.
I already did it. We'll skip that one. We've done that.
Yeah, we've done that. If you may recall, the Davis companies acquired this property back just about a year ago. And prior to acquiring this property, there was an MOU signed with both Everett and Chelsea to repair approximately 680 feet that traverse the site. And for the great portion of the year, I've been working very closely with Greg St. Louis from the city of Everett and his counterpart in Chelsea through the permitting and the design of the culvert repairs. And at the moment, we're expecting that we're going to finally break ground in January. Next slide, please. Just to refresh your memory, this is the culvert that traverses the property. The boundary of the property shown in yellow here, installed roughly around 1965 when this area of Chelsea and Everett was filled. And it's approximately 15.5 feet by 9.5 feet arched corrugated metal pipe culvert, and it's experienced several failures dating back to 1998. Next slide, please. And it drains approximately 430 acres in Everett, combination of residential neighborhoods, commercial neighborhoods, and industrial neighborhoods in Everett. Next slide, please. And just to refresh your memory, the concept there, the fixes are being sort of split into two separate phases and types of construction. The one piece shaded in blue, it's being performed by the city of Everett, and that's the concept there, is to extend the open channel that exists to the north of the property. And then we transition into an underground concrete box culvert that essentially.
Whoops.
We lost sound with you.
Yes.
Chris, we lost your sound.
That's okay. I will continue on. I mean, this is obviously, you guys know, this is a metal arch culvert. We're replacing it with a precast concrete culvert that will actually be bigger in size. Oh.
Yeah, that's the town line, correct. Next slide, Rick. Just finally, a couple more points. This is has been a true PPP partnership between Everett, Davis, and Chelsea. Everett's benefiting greatly from the improved stormwater conveyance. That segment of the culvert repairs underground, it's an approximate investment of $7.2 million on behalf of the Davis companies. But what goes without saying is what's actually allowing the Davis companies to perform those repairs is the very same project that's in front of you tonight. So with that, I'll pass it on to Rick Latini, and he'll go a little bit more into the technical details.
So can I just interject a question? So is
Sure.
that drainage project now completed, or it hasn't started yet?
It hasn't started. We're anticipating groundbreaking in
January?
In January, that's correct.
Okay, thank you.
The open culvert though has been done, right?
No, neither of the two segments have been done. I believe, I don't know if Greg St. Louis is on the line or not, but the city was bidding the work just recently.
Yeah, I can speak to it briefly. If you all recall, we did have an emergency situation a couple of years ago, and we were able to, Julius, our engineer at the time, was able to declare an emergency, and we were able to daylight quite a bit of the culvert or the island end stream on that end. We've had a few collapses since that time. And we had gotten a Mass Works grant. I think we're going to be daylighting approximately 400 feet. That has gone out to bid. We are waiting on the Army Corps of Engineers to allow us to move forward on that and approve it. I think DEP has done, Conservation Commission has done. We've gotten a lot of the permits, but I think we're waiting on Army Corps. But Greg did go out to bid. I don't know if the contract has been awarded yet. Rick might know that, but that's kind of where we're at right now. And we're working. I have to say, Davis has been a savior on this, and they've worked exceptionally well with the city.
Okay.
I'm not
Thank
sure
you.
if I'm not sure you guys all know where the site is, but it's an 18-acre site here, and this is Broadway to the east and Sweetser Circle, and this is the Newburyport Rockport commuter rail line, and then this is New England Produce to the south of us, and about 800 feet to the south of us is Island End River, which, as you know, empties into the Mystic River and onto the inner Boston Harbor. The site today, as you can see, is completely redeveloped, and this has a building on it that's about 111,000 square feet, including this open-air loading dock area here. And the site is about 18 acres, I said, and 16 acres of that is impervious, as you can see. There's some minor areas of vegetation here that kind of scruffy and areas of gravel, and I think Tom and John can attest that, there's certainly some trash and debris that we would clean up as part of this project here. The reason why we're here is this drainage channel here that exists today is tidally influenced, so it does have a top of coastal bank. There is no bordering vegetated wetlands next to it, but it does have a 100-foot buffer zone. It also, even though it's not shown on the Middlesex flood insurance rate maps yet, we know this is going to be land subject to coastal storm flowage based on Suffolk County's flood study they did back in 2016. So we put that in our notice of intent application as well, just so there's no confusion. So this project will obviously demo this building, and we'll propose this building, which is about 221,800 square feet. It'll be, a new modern building. It's designed with the intent of having a last mile distribution user. We don't have anyone signed up yet. That's the intent.
Did you say that you think that Amazon would be interested in that building?
I don't know. I mean, obviously that is one of the last mile distribution people that would be interested in something like this, I believe, but we don't have anyone signed up.
Rick,
Unless Chris knows more
let
than
me
I do.
address that. Yeah, we don't have a contract yet with a final end user. We've been working with our brokerage team to try to find us a tenant, but we don't have a signed contract with anybody at the moment. So it is intended to be a last mile distribution warehouse. And if we did not find a tenant for that use, we could pivot and convert this to a more traditional warehouse user.
So just a quick question on the 100-foot buffer zone. That goes from the edge of that.
Yeah, we're actually showing it here with this green line too. So
Okay.
yeah, it comes off the top of the coastal bank, which in this case is mostly defined by the break of slope, which is actually rip-wrapped along this edge, as you know. So the blue line is the top of coastal bank and the buffer zone.
And
It's
then
shown in green.
it goes all the way over the railroad tracks to the other side.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I didn't have to really draw that in, but it would. And so, obviously this whole area is already disturbed today, so we're not actually making matters worse for sure. And we're not proposing to alter the top of coastal bank at all. So as you know, the site is access off of Market Street, which is the way you came in, Tom, when you met me out there. And passengers and visitors actually would park on the roof. So there's a ramp up here to the roof. This area here is actually the loading for the, I believe there's 8 loading bays for tractor trailers, and also the dumpster would be located in this corner. um, you know, on the assumption of the end user, we're anticipating these are actually van spaces back here for operations. And there's actually vans parking on the roof, and they actually access the roof from a different wider ramp on the westerly side of the building. Oops.
Can I interject something? Is it a one-story building, two-story with a roof?
Oh, sorry, it is a one-story building.
One-story building,
It's
okay,
actually, because the warehouse is actually going to be 45 feet tall. It's not like a normal one-story building. It's a little bit taller, but it is one story, so.
okay.
I'd say 45 feet is a very tall building.
Yeah, yeah, just so you know, the zoning actually allows like 100 feet in this area, believe it or not, so we'll be well below, the zoning limits, so.
Okay,
Just backing up a little bit, just to go over the stormwater, you know, the northerly part of the site actually all drains into the drainage culvert without any type of treatment, just by overland flow, and so is part of this area here. This section goes off-site, but it's eventually collected over here. And then there's catch basins throughout the site here, and basically everything ends up in the Market Street culvert that we talked about earlier.
and that's
as you
all
can imagine-
underground? Is that all
Excuse me?
underground?
Yes, everything I was pointing to is underground. The only exception is if you see these dark spots here on this map, this is actually where the culvert is filled. You can, this is open area now, and it's blocked out with Jersey barriers, which is one of the areas we're repairing. So as you can imagine, this old system doesn't have much treatment at all, and these catch basins don't have deep sunts, and there's no water quality treatment or whatever. So what I'm not showing on here is what's on your plans you have is we're going to install a bunch of deep sump catch basins throughout the site. We're actually designing the pipe network for a 25-year storm. So the pipes out here now are probably 12 inches or less. We're going to have trunk lines like 18 inches up to 48 inches on the very last line that ties into the culvert. So that'll give us some extra storage capacity on site, particularly because our last run will have a tide gate. That'll, obviously it'll shut when there's high tide here. So and also on the downstream end, we'll have, I don't want to call it, I guess I'll call them stormwater filters, because not only will they treat for total suspended solids, the 80%, but they'll also remove 60% of the total annual phosphorus, which was the requirement of your new drainage ordinance, I believe, for new construction. Even though this is redevelopment, we're going to meet that phosphorus removal. And this is based on my discussions with Greg St. Louis. So we are also adding some landscaping here near some of the entries along this is the new daylighted portion that, it's the metal culvert today. We'll also be adding more planting in this parking area. We're actually increasing the open space by well over 30,000 square feet right now. So as you can imagine, we will have construction period controls. We'll have silt fence along the perimeter. Obviously a construction entry, whether it's a wheel wash or the construction entry, so we don't track off site. Just so you know, we don't have a stormwater pollution prevention plan yet, but we do need to do a construction general permit under the National Pollution Discharge Elimination System program with EPA, and we will copy you on that when it's done. The reason why it's not done is we usually wait for the contractor because they sign it. I have to make sure they understand it, and plus we'll talk to them to decide where the trailers and storage is going to be for the site too, so we can have a more complete plan, but we will copy on that once when it's ready.
What about construction debris? Is that going to be on site? You're going to off-site that every day?
It'll be contained on site. I don't know how often we'll take it off site. I mean, but that can be in the stormwater pollution prevention plan. I was gonna wait for a contractor to tell me exactly where they wanted to put that stuff, but
Okay,
it would definitely be protected. It wouldn't just be out there for sure. So
right. And
Yep.
covered,
and covered, yes.
yes, okay.
If it's a chance it can leach something out, absolutely covered. So
Okay.
How long do you
Yeah, so-
think it's gonna take to build this? Do you have a period?
Chris,
of
do you have
time?
that? Do you have a
Yeah,
time
at the
frame?
moment, we're anticipating about a 15-month construction period. And starting
Almost a year and a half.
Yeah, and starting somewhere along Q2 of next year. Sometime in Q2.
All right. I think, just in summary, the the wetland resources that we're going to be working in do not have any performance standards, the 100-foot buffer zone, the land subject to coastal storm flowage. But I think it's, we're definitely going to increase open space, sorry, decrease impervious. And it'll be quite an improvement over the existing conditions. And not only that, you'll have a written operation and maintenance plan, whereas you'll know we'll be upkeeping the property in the stormwater management system. So I think with that, I will leave it to questions. Yep.
You're resurfacing the entire area there.
Correct. Correct.
You also mentioned that you have a stormwater treatment system that's going to remove the solids, you were saying?
Yeah, correct. That's in your plan. I can bring a detail up if you'd like. It's in your plans, but it's not on this slideshow. It's basically a proprietary system, but they're actually filter units. In other words,
Who
it's not
makes
just
it?
like what's that?
Who makes it?
It is Contec. It's the
Okay.
jellyfish system, and the jellyfish is there's a bigger one too. We have two different systems, so depending on because we actually have 3 units on here because of the size of the site.
So is all the drainage that's collected on site and roof drainage, well, obviously it's a parking lot. All drainage on site will ultimately go through these contact units?
Yep. The only
filtration system?
exception, the only exception will be some of the landscaped areas on the edge of the culvert, but they will all impervious areas will.
Will just drain naturally.
Yeah, that drains naturally. All impervious surfaces go to one of the treatment units, correct?
Okay.
Including the roof, correct?
Yeah.
Rick, I know you have been working with the city regarding the open system that the city's putting in. I see your landscaping and you have a plan there. I know the city was required, and I don't know if you have this information as of yet, but lately where their armored stone is, they're required to put in some plantings.
Yep.
I'm wondering if you're coordinating with the city on those native plantings on that end.
Yes, we are. And yeah, because we'll be working with Ty and Bond and Dewberry, as well as CDM, who's working on the color on our side. So we've been talking to everybody.
And my understanding is there's also going to be a walkway over there along there.
Yeah, let me see if I can. It's only on the new portion here. On the new, because this portion here, we actually don't own this area here. This is actually an MBTA with a drain easement. So we do have a walkway here along the new daylighted portion of the culvert.
Yeah, and on the other side is actually my abutter's property, so I don't control that other side.
So, but are you going to be landscaping along that, well, I call it the island and river extension, I guess. Some may call it a drainage ditch, but is there going to be landscaping and anything to mitigate if there's runoff going or overflow from storms, that sort of thing?
Yeah, this is all going to be landscaped in this edge. I think there might be a portion here where it's just going to be like just ground cover because there's not a lot of room to work with. But wherever we have room, we're adding planting. So.
And there's no room to put a sidewalk in over there just to continue it down along the water?
Not under the current plan. There's not.
Well, I would say that I think my property line ends right at the area that currently actually has vegetation. It's beyond my property line at the moment. So the only area that I control is the area that the new open channel piece, which is all entirely in my property.
This is all this down here, it's all parking area down there. Chase, is that what that?
I couldn't hear the question. Did you?
Is that
Parking area, if you could outline the whole parking area.
that's a whole parking area?
That's the roof of the building. The roof of the building is parking.
Yes, yeah,
And then the
Yeah.
other area is loading docks.
okay,
And then they have parking under the ramps.
yeah.
Is that parking under the ramps or is that loading docks under the ramps?
Oh, Under the, oh, sorry, no, this is, no, those are van parking again.
Okay,
Yeah, the tractor trailers are all be on this side here, so.
what are the squared areas just, we'll say below, we'll say north, in the picture, just north of the picture, they have outside the building, those,
Oh,
Those
so
what is it?
right here,
5 by
Van lo-
3.
van loading areas.
yeah, these are van, yeah, so that's actually a canopy above protecting these van loading areas underneath.
So they're loaded manually, or, I mean, well, I suppose that's the,
Yeah, it depends on the user, to be honest with you, which,
Yes,
like, as I
yeah.
mentioned, we don't have anybody signed up yet.
yeah, you're putting it in here as an offer, but when you get if you get a client or you get a user, they have their system and the arrangement might change, but the general use will not.
Correct.
In other words, you're selling these units, this building, empty, so to speak, just 4 walls and a ceiling. And will you build it the way the person who takes one of these will want it done?
Well, I tell you, if we find a contract with somebody, well, that would be ideal, then, that somebody hopefully can work with us that we're close enough on this plan for that user. But at the moment, this is still a speculative deal.
Yeah, so what you're really doing right now is you have a concept and, a general layout, general concept, get all the permits in line for it. And then if a customer comes in, if they can deal with the same layout, then perfect. But then if they, if for their use, they need some slight modifications, all you're doing is sending some modifications to, or revisions to the different groups.
That's correct. I mean, I
or
don't
no.
suspect that the building footprint would change.
Yeah.
So they would just be minor modifications if
Yes.
that was the case.
Yeah, just more operations, just
Correct.
tweaks.
Correct.
Yeah. Yeah, one of the things that I would like to see Everett doing, and it's when anybody is in fact putting in a parking area to sort of try and maximize. If you on your image, if you go down to the left to where the other van parking is, I mean, I see, obviously you're proposing, whatever, like 10, what's that, 12, 13, 14 trees, and over the whole property, you do show on this, are these trees that you're showing or are they shrubs?
No, these bigger symbols are trees.
Okay.
And there are shrubs in here that are smaller.
Yeah.
Symbol.
Okay, but the big ones are trees. And one, like to applaud the fact that you are, rather than just putting in straight pavement, you are, adding some trees. And I think, overall, if we could get everybody when they're putting the parking lots to sort of maximize how many trees they can get into that area just for, general shading, because the pavement obviously will heat everything up, but the shading will reduce that. And you guys look like you're doing a pretty good job. So, definitely encourage you to maximize how many trees you can get in here. And, and then if we can get everybody that's coming in these industrial areas, but to put as many trees as possible in, I think would be great. But you guys are already doing a great job.
Thank you.
Thank you. I think it's certainly better than what exists today on that
Oh,
site.
absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, it's kind of, sometimes it's a cruel world where you have an area that's not really in great condition, but then as soon as somebody proposes it, they're subject to the current rules, as opposed to, and they're improving the situation, but yet they're still restricted by the rules that we have in place. But I mean, obviously you guys are, falling within your bounds, and, the only, like I said, the only resource area that you guys have to deal with right now is this 100-foot, buffer zone from the top of Coastal Bank, right?
And the land subject to coastal storm flowage, but
Yeah. And then also, I guess your drainage too, because your drainage is ultimately making its way into the, into the ocean. But you're taking care of that with the treatment facility that you're putting in, or the treatment. Did you want to call? Were you able to call up or find that?
oh, let me see if I can share a different screen if I have that up. Let's see.
When he's talking about drainage for there, are you going to do something with that water, or if it's storm water?
Yeah, that's what, John, what they're doing is they're, right now, that property is obviously draining into some catch basins, but the actual pipe network is broken and doesn't work very well. Some of it is overland flow, and it's going into that open ditch currently. Some of it is flowing off the property onto other people's properties. But when they're done with this, they are going to have replaced all the underground drainage pipes. They'll have sloped the ground, so all the water and runoff will be collected in catch basins. They're putting in deep sump catch basins, which obviously are the first line of defense in regard to collecting debris that might be in the water. And then obviously they'll give us a management plan for when they're going to clean those out. But then all the drainage is being collected in that network, having already gone through the deep sump catch basins, and then they're making their way into these holding tanks that are specially designed to continue and increase the removal to the standard of 80% removal of total solids.
Before it's discharged.
Before it's discharged, correct.
All right, that's what I wanted to know. They are letting that stuff go to the bottom of that before that water is discharged.
Yes, it goes into this facility that has a proprietary, design to remove the solids from the storm water.
What do they call that thing that they put in the ground?
Well, there's different names, because this one is what Contact is made.
We have that here on our property before the water is in the National Grid District, before the water is discharged.
Yeah, but there's different, there's other ones called like storm scepters and
yes.
Yeah, there's storm scepter units, there's Vortex, I think, Contact. They all have various, they've all been approved and certified to remove 80% of the total solids. So
all right, that's what I wanted to know.
Yeah.
Yep, I just wanted to point out this is one of the units, though. I just want to point out that they have these, unlike the hydrodynamic separators, we have these have tons of cartridges here. These actually remove phosphorus too, which you wouldn't get out of the hydrodynamic separator. So these are more expensive and do a better job.
Yeah, they remove oil too, right?
Correct. They
Yeah, so tremendous over what's currently out there.
Well, you don't have anybody, you don't know what kind of business people are going to be doing in there, so.
Well, no, they do. It's a general, if you want to look at it, it's a general warehouse or distribution center. So they'll have employees that come and park that will work in the warehouse. They will have drivers that come to the warehouse to distribute whatever is purchased in the warehouse. And, that's, they're not going to be, I'm guessing you're not going to be, most likely that is not going to be producing anything. They're more a distribution
That's what I
center.
wanted to ask. Could they be constructing something in there, manufacturing things in those warehouses?
Distribution, right, Christopher?
Yeah, I don't anticipate any user like that. It'll be, as you're saying, likely distribution.
So it'll be a warehouse for storage.
Yeah.
I'm
I'm not anticipating manufacturing or anything that would generate a ton of waste. Correct.
I wondered whether they could use that space with something else.
Do we have any questions?
Yeah. Well, then my only thing would be like we'll give our standard order of conditions, but then, the addition would be that obviously, if anything changes from what what was presented. I mean, they're presenting a distribution center. They don't expect that to change. The layout of the building is shown as such. So if they ultimately change anything like that, then they have to come and revise the notice of intent.
Right.
But the fact is, they already have the notice of intent, and if we give them an order of conditions, they have all that, and so they're way ahead of the game in that regard. So if any changes are made, they just have to come to us,
Right.
and we approve the changes, then they're good to go.
So then it's our standard order of conditions that we put with it, which is, I think, 9, if I'm correct. We have
Yeah.
that printed.
And we'll add one.
Okay,
But so I guess I'd like to make a motion to issue an order of conditions for this notice of intent for 34 Market Street.
Who's seconding it?
okay.
A second, please.
Oh, second, I'll second it. Rita,
All right, and all in favor? What is your,
aye.
Eamon says aye.
Carl says aye.
Rita says, Rita says aye.
Darrell says aye.
and I'm saying yes too.
Unanimous.
And I think what will happen while this thing is under construction, that this man who's you're looking at now over here, he and I will get out on occasions to see what's going on, keep an eye on things down there. He likes to do that. He wants to be sure that everything's being done properly, so he and I.
I'll meet you guys out there.
Yeah,
And
okay.
just for Rick and Chris, we have a standard number of order conditions, and a lot of them are just notification to us, during construction, some photographs, and kind of like a monthly sort of report of how things are going. Just standard kind of housekeeping. We'll probably add to it that we want to. I don't know if it's in the order of condition that obviously if anything changes in regards to the notice of intent. I mean, the fact is we don't even need to put that into the order of conditions, because if you guys change anything by law, you have to come and, is that right, Rick? I mean, if
They have to come before us, and we have to look at what they want to do and make the determination that it's a very minor thing and they can go ahead with it. If it's
Correct.
something major that they're changing there, then they're going to have to file another notice of intent.
yeah, but what I'm saying is, Rick, we don't even have to put it into the order of conditions, right? Because you have to do it by law.
Yeah, and I would expect I would send you guys final plans for your record anyhow. And if you see anything that's major, then you would have to tell me that you think it's major. But I think it's going to be minor stuff, if anything.
Well, I'm saying if prior to construction, there's modifications, then you guys have to come talk to us.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, no, obviously if it happens during construction, then it's going to be pretty minor, and it's an on the fly thing. You're not going to be able to do it without a building permit. So if you have to modify your building permit, then you should also modify your notice of intent if it affects I guess the resource area, or it has an effect on the notice of intent.
You've been before the planning board, am I correct already?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes,
We went last
correct.
week.
You went last week, and did they approve the plans and everything?
No, they sent us to, I think the city needs to get the peer reviewers involved
Yeah, they were,
for us to
they
get
were,
comments.
yeah, they were short staffed, so they wanted to get a peer reviewer involved. So
Can I ask the chairman a question on that? Could the Conservation Commission be part of that peer review, or could they look at, is that?
We would probably receive whatever they're doing there. And you would have to distribute it to us.
Okay.
To see whether or not we should be a part of that. That's how it would be. So as soon as they know what they're doing there, if you could get something together and get it out to us to take a look at, that would be fine.
Great.
so, every submittal we make is going to have a PDF. So what I'll do is I'll just copy Tom on all the links so we can keep up to date with what we're doing. So
Great.
That's
And
great.
He'll take care of sending everything out. He's very good at that,
Good.
keeping us informed.
could I, this is me asking, this is not, this is, if I can, Mr. Chairman.
You were allowed to ask a question, and you cannot charge anything.
And Island and Stream is one of the, you guys, first of all, let me just comment real quick that you're doing an unbelievable job on this. The daylighting of Island and Stream is huge for the environment and huge for
You hear that noise?
the Everett residents that are experiencing flooding right now because of that, and it's increasing flow tremendously. That area has been subject to it. I don't know if there's a possibility of any signage down the road on maybe the history, a little bit of history on Island and Stream, identifying the 100-foot buffer zone for any public that's down there, to let them know that it is a resource area. And again, any native plantings or additional plantings or any public access that you might be able to fit in. I know it's limited, but there is a sidewalk that's ending and it's not that long. So it'd be nice to have it all along the water. So that's just my 2 cents on that. So thank you.
I think we're good.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much, guys.
Much
Thank you.
appreciated.
Nice to
You all have a
come.
good night.
Thank you very much.
Night.
Take care.
Mr. Chairman, Matt Donovan is on from Keolis or
All right.
So Matt, if you want to unmute yourself.
Yeah, this is Matt. Hello, everyone. I think Clary Kutu is waiting to be on as well. I don't know.
Oh, yep, okay. I'll admit Clary right now. And Clary is on.
Yes, good evening. This is Clary Kutu. How are you?
We're good.
So they did open it up for the Keolis RDA, Clary, if you want to
Oh, okay,
turn it off.
sure. So we're in the process of the renewal of the VMP for 2021 through 2025. You're very familiar with this. We've come before you many a times, and the last time we came was in 2015. We're looking for a negative determination today. I'm gonna let Matt go through the maps.
You were asking us, here it says, whether the boundaries of resource areas depicted on plans reinforced below are accurately delineated.
Correct.
Yes.
So this is Matt Donovan from FTC Engineers. So I can pull up my screen to share the maps that we've submitted to you. Here we are. So this is our vegetation management website for Keolis. The link for it is included in the RDA submission. It includes the 5-year vegetation management plan, the maps that we provide you with for all the different towns, and the yearly operational plans. So it's a handy tool for anyone who wants to stay updated on vegetation management activities that's constantly updated. So the RDA was submitted to your commission, required by CMR 11 and specific sections of CMR 10, requiring us to submit the delineated maps to confirm the resource areas are mapped accurately. The requirements are part of a 5-year vegetation management plan, which is currently under review by the Massachusetts Department of Agricultural Resources for permitting. As part of this 5-year plan, your commission will stay updated every year with certified mail. We will send the yearly operational plan to your commission, the Board of Health, the Board of Selectmen, and the Department of Agricultural Resources. This is always consistent with the 5-year vegetation management plan, but we'll go into a little more detail of the specific vegetation management activities for each year throughout the 5-year plan. The vegetation management plan includes an integrated vegetation management approach where chemical application as well as physical and mechanical methods are used to combat the vegetation. Best management practices are used throughout this plan in an effort to limit the use of chemical application, which has been an objective for Keolis. The maps we provide you with that you see on the screen were mainly made for the chemical portion of the plan. They were made with USGS and MassGIS layers to determine the boundaries of the sensitive and protected areas. And we do get a list of all private wells along the railroad from the Department of Agricultural Resources. These maps are checked for any updates to delineations, but I can confirm that these maps are the same delineation that your commission reviewed in 2016 when they approved these maps last. So as you can see, there are areas that are depicted as limited and no spray zones based on the blue and the yellow colors that you see on the tracks. These restrictions and boundaries can be found in CMR 11.04, and which is also section 8 of our vegetation management plan, which will describe why these maps are delineated as is, and they are up to that standard of CMR 11. In the field, the railroad tracks are marked with the same color-coded system as shown on the maps, and the locations in the field correspond to the same places you see in the maps. So there's a certified spray truck applicator who performs the herbicide application. They will always be accompanied by an environmental monitor who is a direct employee of Keolis's environmental team. They will always be in the truck with these maps, working with the operator as necessary. Most importantly, the yellow zones will never receive any form of herbicide outside of the track structure itself, which is federally mandated to keep free of vegetation with no alternatives. In the blue zones, these areas are similar to the yellow zones where the track structure will always be sprayed. These are limited spray areas where they can only be sprayed on a 1 or 2 year interval, depending on whether it's light or dark blue. And I think in your town, you only have light blue. So these areas will only be sprayed once a year. And outside of the track structure itself in these areas, they'll really only be sprayed on an as needed basis if the conditions and the vegetation call for it. But really what Keolis would rather do in these areas, because of its proximity to the sensitive areas, more of an effort is put into controlling this vegetation via mechanical methods. So they will spray if it is needed, but they will put more emphasis on the mechanical methods in these yellow and blue zones. So that's a description of how the process works and the maps. I can open the floor up to the commission if you have any questions regarding either the work or the maps. I think your commission in 2016 issued a -5 determination and allowing us to perform this work. And yeah, we're looking for the same this go around. So the floor is back to you.
Do you have any like zoomed in location on these maps, or can you zoom in on that particular map? What's the section of track down by the Island End River?
That
This
is a
track-
spur. Yeah,
Is that active?
it's a spur. It's not active. It's
So
not a
is-
main line. It's not a main line.
No, but is it, do you actually, like, do freight vehicles use that, or?
I don't know if freight vehicles use it. I believe it's a spur currently.
Yeah, because obviously that goes down to the, does it go down to the steel recycling? Am I looking at this correct?
No, that's not,
No,
that's not that
No.
area.
Goes around the property, I think.
yeah.
Yeah,
It kind of crosses over if you're going down the back road, like right by where the Amazon thing is now, that warehouse. It crosses over. I haven't seen a train go by there for quite a while, but we used to.
Right.
Yeah.
It's still owned.
In
It's still
place.
a track that requires maintenance, but it's not regularly maintained.
Yeah.
Now, this is the Malden River up here.
Yeah.
That's the Malden River.
So,
There were businesses down here. We had a lot of difficulty with them between Everett and Chelsea. You and I were down there.
Yeah, we drove
Yeah.
down there a couple
Yeah,
weeks
Mr.
ago.
Philbin, we went down there and saw.
so, like this map is showing the limited spray area and the no spray area. However, what delineates everywhere that you're actually going to spray? Like we say that there's no limits on what you're going to do.
Well, that's not true. We usually spray the roadbed. The roadbed is the most critical aspect of
Yeah.
the right of way. So the roadbed will always be sprayed.
Okay.
It's a nozzle that goes straight down. Beyond that, the objective is to reduce the spray over time. So in these areas, it's densely populated. There's not that many, large vegetation. So it's mostly brush, low brush, if anything. So it's not like simply because there's no yellow or light blue, it doesn't mean that we're going to put the nozzles and spray 300 feet from the tracks and be happy about it. The most critical aspect of the vegetation management plan is to clear the roadbed of any kind of vegetation that might impede the function and operations. And as it relates to vegetation that encroaches over the right of way, any vegetation above 12 feet cannot be chemically treated, right? And that's the regulation. So for those areas where trees or branches encroach and go above and beyond 12 feet in height, those would need to be trimmed back mechanically. So we try to keep it low to the ground in terms of the chemicals applied. For most part, what I see is that you have riverfront and buffer zone. The yellow areas in your city are mostly related to bridges and culverts.
And ultimately, the title of this RDA is, do you have like a general statement in regard to what what's being looked for?
Right.
I mean,
So
obviously it's been described, but
yeah, so it's the renewal of the VMP for 2021 through 2025. The regulation as it's stated in 333 CMR, the Rights of Way Management Program, requires us, whether within your city or not, you have any kind of resource areas, we still need to bring to the commission, the maps for review every 5 years.
okay.
And the exemption for that without requiring an NOI is 10.05. It's within that exemption. The other exemption is the presumption of herbicide application, which is 10.036B for buffer zone and 6C for riverfront. And any maintenance activities within the riverfront are also exempt under 10.58. So those usually are the exemptions. Most towns utilize. So we're just seeking, your comments and your review for the approval of a negative determination.
But something has changed.
What
Did all
has?
the commissioners get the note from the Massachusetts Conservation Commission about this? Have you read it?
Have I read it?
No, have my commissioners read it? Because I
I
am
have not.
concerned about it. Something has changed within the last 5 years.
Nothing, actually, nothing has changed.
Right.
And that's the confusion that many commissioners have. If I may explain, this year, the difference is that you're actually getting information you never received before in all the previous determinations that you have issued. But the determination, the RDA is the same. Your maps are the same, and the activities that the railroad will conduct along the right-of-way are the same. Nothing has changed, other than I'm coming before you to explain what a vegetation management plan actually is, which was never before explained to many commissioners. Does that make sense?
It doesn't, because the letter that we've received from the Massachusetts Conservation Commission is suggesting that we issue a positive determination on number 2A and 2B instead of the usual one we have done in the past. So something has changed in the guidelines that they have originally issued, I'm assuming.
There is, the guidance from MAC and MSCMP is a guidance, is not a legal interpretation. Currently, at the state level, both MassDEP, MassDOT, and MBTA are discussing eventually what in 5 years might be a different approach towards the permitting of a VMP. That it's not why we're here today. The guidance came at a point where some communities, and I say some, but it was mostly 2 communities out of the 100 plus communities that we go to every year, every 5 years, that had concerns because they didn't understand why the railroad needs to cut vegetation. So in the yellow areas where you have a no spray zone, the railroad is forced to maintain that vegetation. So if we cannot spray, what do we need to do federally to maintain that area? Safe to the passengers and safe to the environment. We have to cut. So before today, many of the commissions really didn't understand what a vegetation management plan is. In fact, they didn't even know they had a right every year to review and check the maps. In fact, many commissions didn't know that they received a yearly operating plan every year. So it was our effort this year to come to the commissions with information that could be useful for them. That might not be the case with your commission, but many commissions were completely unaware that every year they get an opportunity in 45 days to comment on the yearly operating plan.
I guess for me, I'm still sort of confused, and I would have liked Keolis and the Mass Commission come to some kind of agreement or compromise on what is happening this time, these next 5 years. And I was hoping something could happen in that way, that we can make a better.
No, this is a legal matter that goes five tiers above my head, all the way to the Secretary of Transportation, the commissioners of each, of MassDEP and other commissioners. This is not something that's going to be resolved in the next 12 months. So unfortunately, this guidance was issued and got many of the commissions confused as to what they, usually determine. Each town, each city in the state has different jurisdictional areas. So what you have as a riverfront, Brookline has nothing of it. Littleton might have all yellow and all dark blue. So every commission has within their own jurisdiction the ability to evaluate the maps, evaluate the conditions, and what the VMP is about and the chemical application, and make that determination. That's why it's not cookie cutter. And the guidance kind of seems to allow for some explanation, but it really doesn't cover the vast majority of the 100 plus towns that we go to. And as a railroad, we cross
I know
all
you
the city
like to have
boundaries.
bounds, yeah. Have any of the other commissioners any comments?
For most part,
Oh,
that's a
I'm
good
sorry,
question.
I meant our commissioners. If-
Oh,
if
okay.
you look at
I don't recall in the past of when we were there for 5 years ago. I don't recall that there was any problem with what we were doing. It was explained to us, and we went ahead with it. I don't remember there being so
There is
Tom,
no
did you-
issue.
maybe because
Emma, do you have anything?
Well, Tom, did you send this RDA out to us, or is this, like, I'm just looking at my emails and I don't see.
I have it here. I have it.
Yeah, there is something. Was it
Yeah,
letter?
I said it was a while ago. I think when they first filed it, it was, God,
July.
yeah, it was July. So this got, July 15th.
Okay,
It's the one, if you open the email up, it's the one that starts when you print the whole thing, the fair Dermody Consulting Engineers.
Yep.
That's the whole one. If you see that one. Amen.
yeah, I'm looking, it's just that if we're issuing a negative determination, I want the title of the RDA to be correct. Like, what are we voting on? Like,
The renewal of the VMP 2021-2025. Boundary delineations for chemical and mechanical. And pretty much that kind of summarizes it in one sentence.
If
So can
someone-
you repeat that just so I can get this down?
It's
All
the
right,
renewal. Go ahead, Ms. Ashen.
Oh, I'm sorry, honey. I interrupted you too. You were giving him a number so he could put down for Tom. Give him the number.
Or do you have is there a DP number on that? Yes.
Oh, there is no, for
No.
determination of applicability, there is no, there is no filing fee, and there is no,
So for the language, Clary, could you give me the
Sure,
language?
in a sentence, it's the renewal of the VMP for years 2021 through 2025. And the approval of the wetlands delineations for chemical and mechanical controls or mechanical application, or chemical and mechanical controls, yeah.
If you look on page 2 of the submission,
yes, I see it.
on the form itself, yeah, it's basically that paragraph there.
do you want to call that second page up for me, please?
Can I make a
You
suggestion
can share the screen, Matt, if you have it.
to my
Okay.
commissioners? That if some of you have not really read this, that maybe we postpone doing something on this until next month?
You mean
What is-
haven't read what, Ms. Hashem?
If they haven't read the material.
Oh.
If they're looking at it now for the first time and haven't really digested what it is, I would suggest that we postpone it till next month. But if they want to make a decision now, that's up to them.
Well, I read it because I had to write the legal notice, so I read all of this. And I know I've done it before. I knew this, I remember 5 years ago.
Yeah, Matt, are you trying to bring up the second page?
I'm trying to find this submission. I'm looking through my emails right now.
I can probably bring up the second page.
Where is Matt?
What I'll do is, give me 1 second, guys. Share screen, Michelle. Let me just see. I did the wrong side.
I can pull it up right here. So this is it's for Bridgewater. So just pretend it says
Right.
I'm gonna,
it's the same RDA, the same application. Oh, this is the form too. I'm sorry.
That's the determination of applicability. That's for us.
Yeah, sorry. I
Yeah,
thought I
no,
pulled
that's
up
what
the-
we do. That's Form 2. You're showing it, we were looking at Form 1.
right. I thought I pulled up the form 1. I'm sorry.
Carl, you said that that email came out to us in July that had this RDA on it.
Thea McDermott, somebody else said July. If you want, I have it.
But
wrote-
it's August 4th. We got
Yeah.
the attachment on August 4th.
Can you open it and share it?
Yeah,
I-
I have it.
I
If you
have
guys want
the-
to pull it up.
I have the, if I can screen share, I'll show you the page.
Who sent it to us?
I did.
Tom.
So
August 4th.
here,
Yeah, bottom right.
bottom right.
No, on Zoom.
Sorry.
No, share screen.
And where's that?
Share screen.
And there's 2 letters in the back, and one's from the Mass DOT talking about it and issuing negative ones, and then there's another letter from another group from the guidance to.
Yeah, that's weird because I'm looking here and I have all Tom's emails and I only have one from August 4th, which was one of those DocuSigns.
Yeah.
So up on the screen now is the page 2 of that document.
Okay.
And you can see there's the language.
Yeah.
Yes, that's it.
It's July 15th.
Well, it was sent to us afterwards. They did this be prior.
Yeah.
John.
We thought we were gonna do it in August, I believe, and then
Yeah.
we postponed that meeting.
Yeah, and it's based off mapping that was done in the past. And it's just basically saying, we're not going to delineate those wetlands or those areas anymore. We're just agreeing that they're here and this is the treatment that we're going to do. Did we lose our 2 presenters?
No, I'm here. Yeah, that sounded accurate. Essentially, the work itself gets permitted at the state level which is currently under renewal by the Department of Agricultural Resources. And what a negative determination would be doing would be allowing us to carry out this 5-year plan in conformance with the state permitted plan at all times in your jurisdiction. It would allow us to carry out that plan in your jurisdiction.
Do you have any idea? We'll say this is in renewal number. Is this renewal number 1 or is this renewal number 5? Like, how long do you think?
I think the CMR 33311 was initiated in I believe 1987. So if you count back, this has got to be maybe like the fifth renewal at least.
Yeah.
Of this plan. And in the vegetation management plan itself, it goes through the history of when it was first, the initial print of it, and then it's been updated ever since, every 5 years.
And this general plan that includes, we'll say, all the areas is being filed at a higher level also. Is that what you're saying?
Correct.
Yes, the vegetation management plan is being permitted by the DAR.
Okay.
How long would you say the piece of land is that we're talking about?
In
Here.
your jurisdiction?
Yes, it's not very much.
No, it's about, well, without the spur, it's about 2 miles.
Yeah, I think each line has about, give or take, a mile. So maybe a little over a couple miles.
Okay.
And is the only, we just had a presentation prior and we looked at the 100-foot buffer zone from the island end stream and the drainage ditch, and you guys fall within that. Is that the only area within a 100-foot buffer zone in Everett, except maybe the crossing over the Mystic
The
River?
bridge, right, correct.
And how do you spray that area, specifically the 100-foot buffer zone?
No, what, no. So the way the spray methodology is deployed is in May, between second week of May and probably second week of June, depending on, the winter season. Once we get the permit and the 45-day period, public comment period goes at the state level is done. As soon as DAR issues us the approval for execution of the yearly operating plan, we will time the first, which is the pre-emergent, which is one of the most important applications for the year for the railroad. This will be focused mostly on the roadbed. So anything ballasted between tie to tie, because any vegetation that grows there might hinder the switches, the gears, and track inspections. So it's mostly the pre-emergent is mostly on the track bed and in areas in and around assets that are critical for the function and operation. However, in limited blue zone, what we will do is any areas that are wet, any areas that are presenting any signs of moisture, those areas will never be sprayed, whether they're within 100 feet or 200 feet from your river. So there are really strict best management practices that need to be followed, and also some required regulatory requirements that need to be followed as well for the control of chemical application. So we try to avoid spraying when we don't need to.
Tom, I'm thinking I should be recusing myself from
Yes.
voting on this one.
Right.
Department of Transportation.
Yeah.
You
Well,
asked-
Barry, I work for Mass DOT,
Okay.
so I
you-
expect I need
Yeah,
to,
but
I need to leave the room.
No, they have several departments there, and you're in the
Are you in
engineering.
highway?
What?
What department are you in? Engineering?
I'm highway, yeah.
Highway.
Yeah, it's
but
very
the-
different.
I don't think that you need to recuse
Yeah, it's
yourself.
Yeah,
very
but-
different, but
No, I understand that, but ultimately, Clary, like I realized when you were saying, this goes all the way up to the Secretary of Transportation. Well,
Right.
she's my boss too. So, so I mean, I don't think it's not a huge deal, but I am going to recuse myself from voting for or against or making a motion. Do we have enough? We have enough members to vote for or against, right?
We have enough here, yes.
Okay.
Wait a minute now.
No, you
We
don't.
don't have enough. We don't have your daughter's not here.
Well-
So we have only 4 of us here.
Yeah,
do
but
you
how
want
many
to
do you need?
continue it?
How many do you need?
We have a membership of what? Of 5? We need at least 3.
Great.
Oh, okay.
Do we have the 3?
Yes.
But I don't think, Daryl, I don't think you can vote, huh?
Well,
You can
well-
vote if somebody's not there, I think,
Not there, yeah.
that in the beginning, so. I would think recusing yourself would be the same thing as somebody being absent.
Correct. Yeah, I'm
Tom
absent
maybe, or
from.
somebody may be more up on that.
I mean, if we need to continue it because of no quorum, that's fine as well.
Well,
Well, if we have 4 out of 5, we can do it.
do,
The 5 is there in case, so that
I think,
myself, if I vote last, in case 2 vote one way and 2 vote the other way, then I would break the down. but we can do this with just the four of us.
So yes, I'm going to recuse myself from, I know it's very difficult for me not to talk, but I'm going to recuse myself from talking. And
Just
Oh,
one,
you guys get to have pollinators in your vegetation. We can't.
Well, you can use sign language. That's what you could do. Use sign language. You know.
could, Mr. Chairman, could we continue this till Carl gets sworn in as a full member?
He's not a full member. He hasn't been sworn in yet.
I
Well,
don't
ask him.
think so,
Did
right?
you go to the city clerk's office and get sworn in?
Not,
Sworn in when I started. The vote on me is on Monday night to make me permanent.
Oh, then I think you can't do
Next
anything.
next Monday night, next week?
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, then
Yes.
you can't vote. You haven't been.
so we should, my
We should-
recommendation is, and they don't have to come back, but we should continue it to next meeting.
Yeah, we should do that. We
Okay.
should indeed do that because we don't have enough.
And is that acceptable to Keolis?
Sure. I mean, the vegetation management ends in December, but we're fine until our next period of application, which is in May. So we have some time. That's fine.
I don't know that, well, we can hold a meeting in December, I guess. If we want to do that.
I would like that very much so. if
We
we
would be
can-
holding a meeting in December on the 17th.
Okay,
So we could do that, and hold the meeting because he has to be sworn in as. It's not happening. The mayor hasn't approved him for this.
and obviously I apologize, but you know, I wasn't thinking about it, and I think that the possibility of a conflict of interest is very minor. And also this is a very minor issue in regards to somebody calling us out on it. But I think we're in an abundance of caution. We're better, you know, it's not a big deal, and it's not a big deal to have the meeting in December and get a correct vote.
Yeah,
So-
I don't think anybody's gonna come and say, look what the Conservation Commission did. This is
Yeah.
terrible. This is against the law.
Hey, but it doesn't matter. Ultimately, if we can do it right, and we
Yes,
know,
we should do it right.
it's all perception, if their perception is that a vote was taken here while everybody is quiet, then, that perception can extend beyond this meeting. So,
I
so
agree.
yes. So, who makes a motion to continue it?
Well, so I need someone to make a motion to continue the meeting
Yeah.
until
I'll make a motion that we continue this discussion until the next meeting in December.
December 17th, I believe it is. Is that what I said?
Yeah.
And are you expecting us to do any additional material presentation or anything? We're just gonna appear.
No.
No, I don't think we need to do that. I think and I'm just saying this myself now, because we haven't voted, but I don't see a problem with that.
All right, thank you so
I
much.
don't see a problem with it because this is just something that we're gonna do every 5 years anyway, so. I don't think that anybody needs to be there unless somebody would like to be there at the time without making any presentation whatsoever. That would
I
be.
will be here.
All
Yeah,
right, so yes, I would like someone there in the, oh, well, we can't say in the building because we're not in the building. I'm in my bedroom. So, yes, but I think that it would be good if someone was there. And then we'll do it with Mr. Kernan has to do. We'll do that. His daughter can vote, even though it's her father, but she can vote. So
All right,
we'll have enough there at that time.
all right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for
very much.
coming.
Have a good night.
Happy.
You too.
thanks, everyone.
Where is Mr. Let's see what we're gonna have to look at now. What's the next thing here on the agenda?
Well, I screwed that up, huh?
Don't worry about it,
I,
please.
I should have said something at the beginning because I knew that that probably was going to be a problem. But with you working for MassDOT.
Yeah, I mean, it's not, well, I voted on the last one 5 years ago.
Did
But,
vote. Yes, I know that. I was gonna ask you about that, but.
but it was only, wasn't thinking about it till she mentioned her boss or the Secretary of Transportation. And I'm like, well, hold on, that's my boss too. So,
Well, there was a time when we had some people that you knew that were there in City Hall, you had to get up and walk out, you left the room.
oh yeah, that was for the Woods Bridge.
Yeah, you didn't talk, yes, you didn't talk to them? You didn't say
I
anything?
can tell you the truth, people, I am still confused about this whole issue of why then the Mass Commission on Conservation did what they did. Why didn't they say that every city can have their own? Of course, that may have said that in the letter.
Well, why, obviously I can recuse myself from influencing and from voting. However, if you want me to review what you're talking about, Rita, and explain what's in that document,
Yeah,
you know?
I would be more comfortable about doing a vote,
Yeah.
than voting on something, yes.
So you got 4 weeks to get something for us.
Yeah, I'd like to also ask DEP because they would ultimately appeal to DEP on this ruling. Keolis would, and they would be the arbiter of truth at the end of the day. So DEP I'm hoping they'll have an opinion and that they'll give it to us.
Great, that would be great.
And I will ask. There is a liaison, and they answer questions all the time. So I'll get some clarification from them on this.
Thank you, both of you, thank you.
I'll get it in writing and get it off to everyone.
Yeah, and Tom, get what the letter that Rita's talking about, if you can get that off to me, just so I can read it too.
Yeah, I'll get it to.
And this RDA, and then obviously I walk the fine line behind being, trying to be an influence or just trying to explain what it is.
Just trying to explain, huh? Yeah.
Yeah.
It would make me feel more comfortable.
Yeah.
About
If I feel that what I would say would have influence over an answer, then I won't describe it, but if I can be impartial in the description of whatever the document is, just to be more descriptive, put it in layman's terms, what the document says, then I'll do that.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay. The next on
What
the
else?
agenda, I guess, is the Everett, is the maintenance activities at Eversource Station.
No, I thought it
That's
was,
an FYI, Tom. That was an FYI.
yeah, that was just an FYI. I think it's meeting minutes.
Yes.
Have folks been able to review the July and September meeting minutes?
Yes, that's what we have to,
Oh, yes, yeah.
so does anybody have anything they want to add or say anything about it?
No, I would say they're okay, both of them.
All right, then we need to make a motion then that if we've all read it, that we approve the minutes of the meeting for July 16th, 2020, and the meeting for September of 2020.
I'll make a motion to approve the September and the July minutes of 2020.
I'll second.
All right. Well, let's vote, please.
Eamon says aye.
Rita
Carl
says
says
aye.
aye.
Was anybody else?
Emmett?
I said aye. I was the
Oh,
first.
okay. Oh, okay. Mr. Norton?
Aye. Yes.
Darrell? Oh, whatever.
Great.
All right.
Unanimous?
Yeah.
Now, we have the staff communications. That's something we want to, is that down here? If we have something we want to talk about,
Oh,
Agent, Mr. Agent?
Mr. Norton and I have done a couple site visits, and his Prius rides real well on walking paths and bike paths.
Well, now you didn't tell them that the Prius is going on 20 years old. It's 19 and a half years old. And what is the mileage on the car? It's, what is it, 17,000, so 16,000, 17,000 miles on the
Less than
car.
1,000 miles a year.
Yeah. So
Um,
he likes driving. Isn't it a nice car to drive? He enjoys-
John, if you had less mileage on you, you'd be more mobile too.
All right, that's enough of that. now, please.
But a quick, so we did take a look at Devereaux. We drove by Devereaux today and by the Bavarian property along South Creek. Back when Rachel was here, there was a drafted letter to Devereaux regarding landscaping or
They're
I guess
dumping.
soil and debris within wetlands and 100-foot buffer zone of the river. So I'm asking the commission if they want to send that letter. And if they do, I'm gonna have to go document it a little bit more and just do a little bit more evidence, I think, and work with the Inspectional Service Department on it. So I wanted to follow up because I don't believe the letter was ever sent. To see if
I
you,
think the other commissioners probably don't remember. This was done back in November of last year. And a draft was done by Rachel. She did send it out to us. We made some very minor changes on it. And I think it just sat. I don't think it ever went anyplace.
Yeah,
And
this is off the Air Force Road.
yeah,
yes.
I think so,
Yeah.
yeah.
I drove by it too one time too to look at it in the fall. Talking about it.
So,
Well, do you want to
you're
hold that for
talking.
next month until he gets the new letter?
well, Tom can send out the letter with the minor corrections that we had done and get it past the legal, I guess, again, and see if we can send it out. And Tom, I guess it would be, who would sign it? Would it be you signing it, or would it be one of the, Mr. Norton as the principal person on the commission, the Conservation Commission? Find out who should sign the letter.
Yeah, my preference is to have a vote on it and probably the chairman would sign it, I think.
Yeah.
Didn't we like not send that out because they were gonna sell it or something like that? Isn't that why we didn't send it out in the first place?
We did go do a site visit out there. They did agree to do some, I guess, mitigation. But I don't know if there was a follow-up after that. So I don't think there was. So I think that's why nothing happened with the letter, because they went out, like I said, and I just don't think there was a follow-up on it. And so, but I could once again request ISD. And the one other thing just came into my head was I want to look at the property line there or the city line, because Medford encroaches on that side of the river in that area.
Mhm.
And if we were going to do anything, we might have to involve the Everett or the Medford Conservation Commission.
Okay,
And that might be why it didn't happen, because we didn't have jurisdictional authority in that
Yeah,
area.
I think we left it to ISD too, and we just pushed back on them and said they should do stuff instead of us.
Okay.
I think too.
okay.
The other part too is the property, is the operation on the property conducted by the owner of the property, or is it by a tenant?
I believe it's a tenant. I think Deborah leases that property. I think
Yeah,
it's
and I
owned by the
That,
Bavarian.
that's
I know
what it was. It was the tenant. The tenant was supposed to move out. So I don't think that's why we didn't do anything, because we heard that they were moving out.
Got it. Got
But
it.
They
also,
haven't moved out.
yeah, and I also believe that, that the owner of the property
And
was
he said
behind.
he said
was
he couldn't do anything or something like that, because the owners talked to the tenant about it like 100 times or whatever, and they still don't do anything. I think that's what it was too.
Yeah, I think of what it was is that the owner who owns the person who bought that property has also bought other properties in the area,
Yeah.
right? And ultimately, he is behind the commission or otherwise, or he's, in support of the commission putting restrictions on his own property. However, I feel that that's part of, he can't tell them what they can and can't do on their own property. And it's kind of like a little subversive in regards to trying to get us to harass his leasee, or the person who's working there. So as much as the person who's working the property shouldn't be doing what he's doing, it's also that we're being asked to kind of, put it, make it a little bit more uncomfortable for him. And, because the owner is completely behind us, which seems kind of weird, that we're going to put restrictions on his property or what can be operated on his property. And like you said, it was possible that the person was going to leave, or that the owner wants him to leave, one or the other. That's just guessing. But we have to, I do agree that I think the letter should go out in regard to what this person can and can't be doing on this property. We need legal to check that we have the right to tell them what they can and can't do, because obviously, they don't own the property. We would be writing this letter to the owner of the property,
Right.
but then, if it was a situation where somebody was going to be fined, does the owner get fined, or does the person, breaking the rules get fined? But so I think that's where, obviously the town legal need to look at the letter and look at the justification behind us actually sending this letter out. It's not a bad idea, because like that guy, they have, piles of soil, 40, 50 feet high, and they're, whatever construction debris they're getting from their actual business, they're bringing it and sorting it out in that yard within the, probably within the flood zone, probably within the, the 25-foot riverfront, and probably within the 100-foot bank. So, they need to be told what they can and can't do. And, but it may also be smart to, I don't know what, those two properties are combined, right? In that area. I think there's two properties down there, and they might be owned by one.
Well, Bavarian owns pretty much that whole area now. He bought up pretty much the only area, and John and I were down there today, as a matter of fact. The only ones, Lanier, I don't know if they've come in yet before you guys, but they bought all the container site, which is at the front of the property on Air Force Road, and it comes back about halfway. But all the rest is pretty much owned by Bavarian, who leases it out to various tenants.
But it might be, it might make sense to take a look at the general area, and if we're writing it to, you write it to one, you probably have to do it on a property by property basis, so if there's two individual properties down there, we might actually have to write two letters. And if there was and basically what I'm getting to is if there happened to be a second owner, it would look very strange for us to be writing a letter like this to one owner, and, not both. And I think the letter should be written in a way that what requirements we want to be followed, as opposed to, kind of coming in and saying, hey, You can't do this, you're storing soil, you can't do this. It should be more, hey, here's the regulations, you need to adhere to them. And maybe you could point out what they're doing against it, but we should write a similar letter to multiple property owners. It might end up being one letter, but if there's, I don't believe there's more than one property owner, but if there's a few property owners along the riverfront there, and let's say they're storing, scrap trucks within the 25 feet, if we're willing to write the letter to one, we should probably be writing the letter to all of them saying, hey, you need to remove these vehicles. You can't be storing soil within 25 feet. You can't be running operations within 25 feet of the river. I don't think that's the case, but it probably should be looked at.
Okay, so I will go down there. Well, I'll contact the property owner because I'm fairly on good terms with them. I can talk to them. I've asked them to do some cleanups. I'll let them know that we have discussed it on Conservation Commission and that they've asked me just to put together a letter explaining the rules so they know them and maybe suggest remedies.
Yeah.
And that way we have it documented and in writing, and they may just go take care of it. And ultimately the property owner is responsible. It's not the tenant's property owner. And he's the guy who owns, responsibility goes with the owner.
But we also want to make it that we're not picking on one particular person, because if there's more than one property, it's fine. If another property isn't doing anything, we can still send them the letter to remind them. And then if anybody wants to come back and kind of go, hey, you know what I mean? There was some sort of impropriety in regard to, influence in regards to writing a letter to this one particular person. Well, that can be dispelled by the fact that we send a few letters to a few people, just reminding them what the situation is.
Great. Okay. Thank you. Just by way of update, I think I've sent you folks a lot of photos and what's going on, but Phragmites treatment, again, thank you. That was National Grid. Thank you for getting National Grid to pay for that. And if you get a chance to go down by the River Green Park, it's unbelievable the change down there. Absolutely beautiful. I met with Mystic River Watershed yesterday down there. They have $75,000 in, it's called NACA funds. It's Ducks Unlimited federal money to protect wetlands and restore wetlands, basically for wildlife. So they are interested in doing the rest of the area, treating it and planting native species down there. So we did a site visit. I think they're going to do it. It's to the left of the canoe and kayak launch, where there's a couple benches down there, and you get a view of Boston, basically, when you cut down the Phragmites. So they're going to hopefully do that within the year. Over at River Green, or over at Gateway Mall, thanks to the mayor, we went over there. We removed the gateway signs and put up DCR signs, and the city paid for those. But the mayor wanted to, part of it was to draw people to Gateway Park, visitors, and let people know it's a state park in Everett. I spoke to DCR also. They're going to put it up on their website, which it's never been. And they're going to put the Northern Strand Community Trail up on their website also. So I think that's good. North Creek is done. The native plantings are in. All the Phragmites are removed. The stream has been dredged and it's got great flow, and native species are back growing. I think in the spring it'll look a lot different. South Creek, they're waiting on the Army Corps for a permit. So the delay is Army Corps is delayed anyway, but They probably want to do some, there's some wetlands there, believe it or not, where the creek once flowed. So they're going to probably ask us to recreate, or ask the city to recreate some wetlands. Or it could be mitigation of wetlands again, where phragmites have gone. This morning I made a presentation to 6 municipalities about restoring or creating almost an Alewife Brook area. I don't know if you know Alewife, where they've created wetlands over by Alewife. We didn't get selected, but we're the backup, and the goal here is to create some wetlands in the area where phragmites are, right next to the Woods Memorial Bridge, and to build a boardwalk through that. They're going to have another round in April, and we should probably get some grant money to do design and permitting for that. So that's kind of where we're at. Next meeting, I'd love to have Pam Shadley do a report. Pam Shadley is the one landscape architect who did River's Edge and did all the landscaping and design at Encore and did the River Green. The city has hired her to do a master plan for the Everett riverfront, and she's done an unbelievable job. So I'd like her to present to you guys, and I think you'd really enjoy it. So that's my report.
I don't think we have to do a vote on that.
No, thank you for a great job. Well done.
Thank you.
Now,
Definitely.
I want to speak to the commission now. Please listen to me. We should be, and I've mentioned this before, we should be members of the Mystic Valley Watershed Association. Now, all of the filing fee money that comes into us goes into an account here in the city. And under state law, that money cannot be used for anything but what the Conservation Commission needs to do with it, or wants to do with it. And I want to take a vote now that we all, including our agent, are all to be members of the Mystic Valley Watershed Association. And he will send a check to them for all of us to be members. I think that's very important. They're a very important organization, and they do a great deal of good work, and we should be supporting them. So can somebody make a motion if you?
I'll make a motion that we join the Mystic Valley Watershed Association, all the members, and a check be sent to that association first.
Yes. Second?
I'll second it.
All right. Would you please take a vote?
I'll vote. Eamon votes aye.
Carl votes aye.
Darrell votes aye.
Rita votes aye.
And I vote aye.
Great.
So he will do that for us.
A small caveat on that would, if we join the Mystic Valley,
Just clarification,
watershed.
Mystic River Watershed Association.
Yeah, would that ever create a conflict of interest in any of the work that we have to do?
Oh, that's interesting.
I don't see anything now, but if it came down to that, we'll have to discuss it at the
Well,
time.
it's interesting because
Because if they present to us if they come to us and they say, look, Engrid are proposing to do this work down by the river and we're against it. And we would really like that you as what you call it, members of the Conservation Commission would vote against it, and not issue an order of conditions or issue a very restrictive order of conditions. Would the fact that we're members of the committee that are coming to influence us in how they want us to vote, would that be a possible conflict of interest? So
Could be.
Tom, I don't know if you just want to talk to,
Yeah, I just thought of that again because I said yesterday I met with them out at the site and they would be providing grant money to this, well, they would be doing Phragmites removal, for instance, and planting. So they would have to come before us, probably for an NOI or, yeah, to do Phragmites treatment
Yeah.
along the river.
yeah, so,
That could be an issue.
Yeah, it could be
Yes.
an issue, yes.
so just, if you can just check with legal
I will.
what they think, do you know what I mean? And again, sometimes it is their, well, obviously perception and reality, but in both cases.
Got
Well,
it.
talk to
Good
the
point, Eamon.
attorney Mahia. Talk to Attorney Mahia about.
I hate to lose out on grant money or
Oh, no, we
Yeah.
don't do that. We don't
Yeah.
do.
I will
No,
check.
no. Yeah, no, it's just a case, again, we just have to, you make the effort to be squeaky clean and hope that you get 90%, but,
Right.
so,
What if we did it individually? Because I think I make a donation to that group, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, we could do that if you wanted to do it that way. We each individually, but then,
Well,
no, it wouldn't matter. It would just, the fact is, if we were members, I'm a member of I work for Mass DOT, so I have to recuse myself from anything where my decision could be based off the fact that I work for Mass DOT. So if we're members of the, Mystic Valley Watershed Association or whatever,
not Mystic Valley.
okay, Mystic River, that if we have to make a decision and it could be somehow influenced by the fact that we're a member of that particular association and they're the association that are asking for our permission or otherwise, how can we vote?
No,
Well,
maybe it'd be better if we just forget the whole thing.
Why don't you?
Just check. Just check.
Hey,
let me also talk to them and make sure all you as
Mr. Agent, you call them and talk to them about this.
and that all the individuals are on their mailing list and
I get
all the information.
I talk to them about this and see what they think.
Great.
Yeah.
And then talk to Attorney Mahia about it.
Will do.
Well, you can't do that tomorrow because tomorrow is Friday and City Hall is closed.
Yeah.
So talk.
Hey, look at the list he has on his plate right now to talk to everybody.
Hey, when he calls them is not a requirement by us.
That's right. That's right. Oh, gosh.
Okay, how are we doing on that list? I'm falling asleep.
I've worked in 3 hours, so if you guys don't mind.
Let's go.
I think we could,
Oh, yeah.
we could take a motion to, I want to show you something. Are you looking at me?
Yes.
Do you see that going around? No,
You have to hold it in front of your face because your camera's on your face. It's a paper clip.
you,
What? You're
He
talking
knows.
to me.
what? Yes, I'm talking to the agent.
Oh, okay.
Yes. Oh, you need paper clips. Got it.
You know, the ones that,
Got it.
all right, you've got it.
I got
And
it.
you've got it and I'm gonna get it.
Great.
That's all right. Thank you very much.
Can I make a motion to adjourn?
I'll
Yes.
second the motion.
Second.
Thank you.
All in
Listen,
favor?
everybody, have a
Aye.
wonderful.
Eamon says aye.
safe
Gavel tie.
Thanksgiving. Have a wonderful, safe Thanksgiving.
Yes.
Thank you and your family and be safe.
And
Thank
wear
you.
your mask only, but you can only take it off when you're reading.
Thank you. Good night, everyone.
Take
night,
care.
Right.
Take care. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. We'll let Tom get us off.
Yeah.